lined up to kind of give a big presentation. It would have been quite an interesting dynamic presentation, was Tom Payne, who is in charge of export market development for the U.S. Highbush Council. And he ended up having to go on some trip out of the country at the last minute, so he couldn't make it. So I developed another idea to talk to you all about, and that's this talk about developing exports. And I want to spend more time, the next 30 minutes, talking about what we're doing and give you some examples, some very, very real, very specific examples about what we're doing, and have you give us feedback on how you feel about it. And I guarantee you're going to see some things in here that is going to make you really wonder or ask questions. So that's what we want. So Washington and most other blueberry growing regions in the Western Hemisphere are increasing in production, and blueberries are now in the same place where cherries, pears, hops, and a lot of other commodities are or were. I'm telling you, I have this motto: there is no market a Washington grower can't screw up. And one way that an industry can deal with a situation is to try and export your way out of it. And that's what we're going to talk about. So we think developing export markets essential. I feel that British Columbia, California, Oregon have aggressively adopted export markets, either with more money or earlier than Washington does. Bear in mind that the British Columbia industry has a market. I mean, they're much bigger than we are and have a bigger assessment. So they've got a lot of money. So it's easier for them to develop export markets. And essentially, British Columbia is the national Highbush industry. So they get a lot of federal funds. So they're essentially like the analogous to the U.S. Highbush Council. Oregon has a bigger budget than ours and has had a bigger budget for a long time. So they've had the wherewithal to jump into export market development more than we have. And California doesn't spend that much money on research. Their big focus is on export market development. Plus, the people who run the California Blueberry Commission run some other commissions like the California Export Commission or California Apple Commission. And so they have a group of commissions in one office that kind of team up and pool their money, and they're globe-trotting fools. They put a lot of effort into market development. And one thing is California, as you will hear in some of this, California and Oregon actually work very well together on helping out on some of these projects, as you'll hear. And our chair, Brian Sakuma, has told me we're going to spend more time, more money, and more efforts on developing export markets. So this is part of our effort to try and ramp up markets. So here we go. This is what I think our goal should be for the commission. This is me talking. It'd be interesting to see. I'm kind of watching Brian with his poker face, see what he says. But I think Washington should be exporting a higher percentage of our crop than any other state. We've got all the ingredients to do this. You know, we've got more organic production. We're geographically located better than any other place. We're closer to Tokyo than any other state. And so this ought to be a goal of ours. So the strategy we have is MRLs are a huge barrier to exports. This is also, I mean, what I'm saying for blueberries is equally true for raspberries. And actually, it's a bigger issue for raspberries than blueberries, actually. And I'll raise that issue a little bit later. We have whole countries that we don't ship to that we could ship to simply because of MRLs or pesticide residues. We also are trying to learn about new emerging markets. We're trying to open up markets to fresh and processed blueberries. We're trying to come up with new sales opportunities for Washington exporters. So this this is our general strategies. Hey, Chris, where are you? Am I not connected up to Prosser? All right. All right. Can I hit this X button here or should, okay. So here's some specific things that we're doing. Washington comments on any proposed new MRL or proposed changes on MRLs for blueberries. So anytime any country in the world proposes to change or develop pesticide residue level, we pay someone, and it's the people that that's going to talk at 11 o'clock tomorrow. So if someone goes to set a pristine MRL in Korea and ours is at 8 and theirs is at 2, we comment and say, hey, don't do that. You got to raise it up higher. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. We do this in cooperation with the Washington Red Raspberry Commission. Also, the Oregon Blueberry Commission is there. So one thing is, any time that happens in the world, we comment on it. Also, the Blueberry Commission funded a project to work with pesticide companies and foreign governments to change MRLs that are obstacles to the export of Washington blueberries. Now, this is a slow, hard slog. It takes years, but we've got a couple of MRLs changed. We got the bifenthrin Japan MRL raised. There's a couple of fungicides that we've got raised, but we spent $5,000 on this project in a year. And if we can get 1 or 2 MRLs changed a year, it's worth it. The Blueberry Commission has funded and concluded a 3-year project that will show growers how to use blueberry insecticides in a way that will not violate MRLs in key export markets. This is a project that's done. The information is available to growers. I'll show you a couple slides on that. And the Blueberry Commission has funded the first year of a project to show growers how to use blueberry fungicides. So the first one, this one was on insecticides. This one is on blueberry fungicides. So this is an example. This is Mustang Max, and this is pesticide residue decline curves. It's got Michigan, Oregon, and 3 locations from Washington. Like this is this is Whatcom County, this is Skagit County, this is Eastern Washington, and it shows you that the U.S. tolerance is 0.8. Canada and Taiwan is 0, Japan is 0.5. And with this residue data, it says you can, even though Japan has a tolerance that is lower than ours, you can use Mustang Max and still go into Japan, but you can't go into Canada and Taiwan. And we have this data for every insecticide of consequence on blueberries. This is an example of malathion. The tolerance in US is 8. Canada is 8, Japan's 5, and Taiwan is 1. So malathion is something that's used at a relatively high rate, and you'll see that the residues are quite high. So if you are using malathion, you need to wait. You need to wait. You need to come out here. Well, actually, if you're going to Taiwan, but if you're going to these other countries, you can go into Japan, but you've got to go out and wait till 9 days. 9 days post-harvest, and you can go to you can use malathion. The carbaryl is 7, and I'll tell you what, check out this. This is labeled rates, and the high labeled rates of 7 results in residues that are too high, potentially even too high for the US. You can't go into Canada, you're not gonna be able to go into Japan and Taiwan. And we've had people busted going into Taiwan after using 7. So 7 is something that you would not want to be using unless it's very early in the SWD season. So that was the old project. We got that one all done. We've got a set of recommendations for all those products on how to use them by market. Nice, nifty little publication. This is Bosclid. Bosclid is pristine, one of the more commonly used blueberry fungicides. This is some brand new data. We'll be talking about blueberry and raspberry. We have a whole talk on this for blueberries and raspberries tomorrow. But this shows you the three locations of the decline. And it looks like the numbers go up, but there's a range around this. This number and this number are really not statistically different here. Basically, it shows you have these residues and then they decline over time. So what this tells you, the US MRL is 13, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Japan are 10, Canada is 6. What this tells you, you can use pristine according to label and go into all those countries, even though the residue, even though the MRLs are lower than ours. There's enough safety built into this that you can use pristine and not violate those MRLs. And we have 1 year of data on most of the fungicides that are used during the harvest season or pre-harvest in blueberries. But we just have 1 year of data. Also, another thing that we've done is we've received a specialty crop block grant to have a contractor write reports on market opportunities and challenges for China, Korea, and India. Again, that's Bryant Christie, the people that are going to be talking next week. And if somebody wants to know more about opportunities for blueberry exports to China, Korea, or India, we've got a 50-some page report on each of those countries. And they're available to anyone that's interested in them. Although I'd prefer you to be from the state of Washington if you want them. 10 minutes. All right. So in cooperation with California, we've hired an international trade firm to open up foreign markets for Washington and blueberries. These are the markets that we're trying to open up for blueberries. We've hired foreign trade representatives for China, for South Korea. Was going to go into India, but I'm having a problem with going into India. Everyone I talk to in India thinks they're the expert on it, has got a family member or a business associate that should be repping for us here. I went to India and I'm just having a little bit of a challenge about how to best tackle India. I think we also are considering sending someone to China and to South Korea to meet up with our trade representatives we have there this year. We need to have the right person, maybe look for some volunteers to do that. We've gone to China 3 times, South Korea twice. We've gone to India once. We're considering trade mission to Vietnam, another one to the Philippines. We're also considering hosting foreign trade missions coming in this country. All this stuff's good ideas. It just costs money. In the interest of time, I'm going to switch to some very specific examples of some things that we are doing. I want to show you just some nitty-gritty details of things that we are doing. This is an email from Matt Lance, a guy that's speaking tomorrow. This is talking about, I don't know if you guys can read this, but we're paying $15,000 to get South Korea and Australia to get market access, another $10,000 to go into China, to work with us on China, $5,000 to go into India, Philippines and Vietnam's $14,000. And for the low price of collectively $40,000, they throw in New Zealand and South Africa at this. So we're spending $40,000 for this. Now, what do we get for that? These guys are our representatives. Here's an example. I don't know if y'all can see this, but they were able to get the U.S.-Korea bilateral in Seattle last week. That's actually been a couple months ago. And because they got it here, the South Koreans went and visited a blueberry farm, Jones Fruit, between Washington and Quincy. And these are the people that control us going into South Korea. They really get those guys that have the meeting in Seattle to come out and visit us and answer a bunch of the questions that they had. We're working with those guys from Bryant Christie. They gave us the draft export protocol for U.S. fresh blueberries to Vietnam. And so the Vietnam folks are very interested in this. And so we're working with these guys to open up Vietnam. And these all are, I'm going to show you, are all slides that have come in the last month. This is an interesting one. Even though they're not working for us on Cambodia, Cambodia had some interest in this and sent some information to us and asked us to review this document. Check this out. I've never seen Cambodian, but there's this has to do with plant protection and quarantine. We got a comment on it about developing. I don't know how much of a market Cambodia ever would, but we're not turning down anything. This is the blueberry pre-meeting for the China bilateral. That's when their USDA and our USDA meets. And Mark stressed strongly the access needs to be from the 9 states petition. I told him and APHIS that Washington, California had no problem. We're going to move forward as an industry. But Washington and California, somewhere in here it says Washington and California have got the lead on this. Anyway, these are a lot of email traffic we have. One of the things that keeps us out of this is they're concerned about pests here, and so China gives us a list of 9 blueberry pests that they're concerned about, and we have to prove to them that this will not be a problem. And so this is a letter from China from China on the progress on risk analysis for U.S. blueberries to be exported in China. And our people are the ones that are working on that, the people that we've contracted with. I have got a number of I could go on and on about all these emails traffic that we have for the work that we're doing. Every week I'm working on some project, on some aspect, on giving somebody some information, reviewing things, on getting into one of those countries. So I'm working on that all the time. Another thing is we've hired someone, we pay him $1,000 a month to develop trade leads for us. So this is an example of November. This guy, Danny Kim, who also is a Department of Ag representative in South Korea, he's the Apple Commission and the cherry guy over the Washington Apple Commission and the Fruit Commission's representative. He's now the Blueberry Commission's representative, and he does sales leads. And so here's an example. Here's the company, the contact information. They're interested in IQF blueberries. They want 8 containers a year, and they want imported IQF and wild blueberries from US and China. So we get trade leads like this every month. Here's 5 for Korea. And we send those out to all the Washington-based exporters. This is, we also pay someone, we also pay some, this is another, this is a guy in South Korea. Every yellow mark here is a trade lead that we've got that we send out to folks. We have another individual in China that we pay $1,000 a month to generate sales leads for us. So those are some of the examples of the things that we're doing to develop export markets or to try and push more blueberries into other markets. So I've got 2 minutes for comments or feedback, but I'd really like maybe when I'm not up in front here, people get a hold of me and give me your ideas. So any comments or questions? Could you say that in the microphone, please?
Would that create a problem of us shipping into other countries because of our value of our dollar?
The stronger our dollar is, the more expensive our products are. So yes, that's a factor. But you can't think of it that way, because just because the dollar is strong now doesn't mean it's going to be strong a year or 2 or 3 or 4 from now. And we're working on markets that we may not be into for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 10 years. So that's a short view. You got to take the long view on developing these markets.
Quick questions?
All right. Thank you very much. What's next?
Thanks, Alan. So we have a 15-minute break, and then we have our dual room schedule going on, and we'll start again at 9:45 in both rooms, if everyone's got a schedule. Also, if you filled out that survey, bring it up here and leave it on this table so Michael can get a hold of it. We'll see you all at 9:45. Nice job, Alan. It was fun reading your email. Okay, I'll work on it. Do we get a fax number to? Alan. Well, what are you going to do with someone? It's about.
Those are pretty good stairs, man.
How you doing?
Hey, good. Did I ever get back to you on that David Ryland thing?
No, but he's supposed to be here tomorrow. Yet.
You know what? I looked at it at home. And I just like, wow.
Okay. Thank you. You're gonna get a certificate for that. Lisa, you're not supposed to fill this out. Dan Coyne, how are you, man? This is Lisa the better. New smoking relative. Now he's a big league. So I think so. Don't worry about the time. So what's going to happen is one of us consistently comes in at 20 minutes. That's a lot. And you know, people are going to have questions. So, so what's going to happen is we're going to launch. And it's always on. Also, okay. So just use, you're going to use it like, you know, basically. And you just, you know, everything else is the same. It's just that. So I just got it on this very slide right here.
These slides.
Yeah, just
Okay.
you're not gonna be able to go like this.
Right, right.
Otherwise, you're all good.
Yep, I should be just fine.
And I made the moderator probably Colton. It's the guy with the blue shirt right there.
Okay.
He'll be giving you times and everything like that. So
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank
okay.
you.
So what are you up to, Dan? Got married. Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah. Are you serious? So you weren't like luxurious hotel. Well, you were. How'd they go? Good. You took it out from the wilderness? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like it's like $7,000.